Hey everyone, welcome back for another unboxing. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the 1/6 scale Jaime Lannister Season 7 from Game of Thrones. I'm really excited for this one. This is my second Game of Thrones collectible figure, the first one being Tyrion Lannister. I love how 3-0 put a lot of detail into that figure, so I thought I might as well expand on my collection and get the rest of the cast. And who better than Tyrion's older brother, Jaime Lannister, who is probably one of my favorite characters in the show. I have seen every episode of Game of Thrones. It's been a little while, and I'm making my way slowly through the books, but by no means am I an expert in Game of Thrones lore. So if I mess something up, just let me know in the comments. But with that aside, let's just jump in and take a closer look at the box. So for the box design, it's exactly like the one that Tyrion Lannister came in. A very simple design with a black background and a gold foil Game of Thrones logo, the name underneath it, and then you can kind of see that there's an etched in lion on the box, and then underneath there's some wording, "Hear me roar, Lannister." It's the exact same on both sides. My only complaint about the box art is that it's very difficult to see the lion in the wording. They didn't need to do like a gold foil, but I wish they would have added at least like some sort of a yellow application to the design so that it punched out and you could actually see it. But it's not that big of a deal. It's just a small little added touch that they could have made the box art look better. For the bottom of the box, we have your logos and trademarks and warnings. And then the top of the box just says Game of Thrones. So let's pull the inner box out of the outer sleeve. And as you can see, it reveals Jaime Lannister inside the inner box. A very nice, simple design for the box, red in color. On each side, you have the lion emblem, Jaime Lannister Season 7. And then on the back, a bigger banner. You have Hear Me Roar Lannister with the medieval lion and then the Game of Thrones logo. So now let's pull him out of the box. Interestingly enough, when I first got him, they actually placed him upside down inside the box, which was a little goofy. So I had to switch him around for the unboxing. But here we have him in his clam tray. There's a top layer and then a bottom layer that has his accessories. So let me get all of this out of the clam tray onto the table and we'll take a closer look. So here we have all the accessories laid out onto the table. And as you can see, there's only a few items here, but that's okay with me. The thing I love about 3-0 is the quality that they put into their figures. So you can already see that there's amazing amount of detail in each one of these items. They provided 2 swords, 2 sheaths, 2 left hands, a long red cape, and then the belt that's connected to one of the sheaths. I'm just going to take a closer look at each one of these individually, starting off with the cape. For the cape, it's a soft, smooth material, fully red in design, with a couple hooks at the top that will just peg right into the back of the figure. There's no wiring in this cape, so you won't be able to do any sort of dynamic posing. It'll just fall flat and lay where it lays, but that's okay. Next, we'll take a look at the hand sculpts. We have 2 of them. One's a closed fist, and one is a little bit more open of a fist. That is for holding the different swords. They also added a couple pegs just in case your hand gets stuck on one or you need to replace one. For the first sword and sheath, starting off with this short sword or possibly dagger. I'm not sure. A lot of the swords in Game of Thrones have specific special names, but I'm not sure if this one does. It's got a nicely crafted gold handle with this black wrap around it. If you look really closely, you can kind of see it looks like there's a lion for the top part of that, or the image of a lion's face. You can also see they added some blood detail to the actual blade and around the handle itself, which is pretty neat. And then this will be able to slide or insert right into the sheath. And the sheath itself is got this nice cracked leather look with a gold paint at the bottom. And this actually inserts into the belt just like that. And for the long sword, I believe this is named the Widow's Wail. It's very beautifully crafted. There is a lot of detail up here on the handle. You have the jewels at the bottom and top. And then the sword itself has a nice shiny metallic glow with a little bit of like scruff detail added. And finally, let's take a look at the larger sheath and belt. There is a lot of detail on this. Beautifully crafted, very intricate design with that gold theme resonating all the way from the top and bottom. And then the belt is just made out of a rubber-like material with a simple design in the middle. So now moving on to my favorite part, let's take a closer look at the figure itself. Now, I just want to have it noted, you would think that this would be a heavier figure based on all of this armor, but he's actually pretty light, which was a little surprising. Starting off with the head sculpt, I am thoroughly impressed. The quality and craftsmanship that 3.0 provided with this figure is absolutely incredible. I mean, there's so much detail in this face. You can see the blemishes, the moles, the wrinkles. I love the glossy eyes and the paint that they added to the facial hair. I like that the hair on the head kind of comes over the forehead and you can see some depth to it. I mean, this looks like Nikolaj Waldo, the actor from Game of Thrones, or Jaime Lannister. This is top tier quality head sculpt. I think that's what they do best. And I'm absolutely amazed at the quality. This is pretty awesome. So now moving on to the outfit, you can see that there is a long black leather jacket underneath most of the armor. And the armor itself is somewhat layered in some parts, but there's a lot of just sculpted detail to make it look like there's some depth. For the shoulder pads, we have a nice intricate lion emblem on each side, as well as for the elbow pads. And the color theme with the golden red matches that of the Lannister household, and it's throughout the whole figure itself. But a lot of detail. It looks very nice. Now for the lower half of the figure, underneath the trench coat, you just have soft black cloth like pants, and then your big long boots that also are split at the ankle. So that's pretty nice. And these boots are pretty well sculpted. You can see all of the detail on there. And then the bottom of the feet, just nice and smooth, a little bit of texture. Moving on to articulation, starting off with the top, the head is on a fixed neck. There is decent movement forward and back, a little bit of side to side, and then you have some sort of rotation, but the collar will prevent it from going a full 360. For the arms, they can extend to about 90 degrees, a little bit of resistance up here at the shoulder pad. You might have to mess with that a little bit to get a little bit farther reach. Then you can bring it forward to probably 80 degrees, maybe 75. But again, that leather will bunch up and you might have to mess with that a little bit more. There's a butterfly joint up here in the shoulder, and there's a 90-degree bend at the elbow, and then your regular ball joint for the wrist. The legs, they can go about 270 degrees, and then maybe another 70 forward. There's a swivel at the thigh, a double bend at the knee, and then you have a ball joint for the foot, and it's a split boot, so that allows for greater movement, which is also awesome. And finishing up with the torso, there's a little bit of movement forward and back and side to side, but not much. Most of the outfit prevents or hinders that. So while I throw him in a few different poses, I thought I'd share what I like and dislike about this figure, starting off with the different issues that I encountered. First off, I want to talk about the leather jacket, specifically the length on the right arm. So it kind of extends pretty far down and covers up a good chunk of his golden hand, and I don't think it was intended to be like that. I tried pulling it up and playing around with it, and I know the right elbow guard was pretty tight and was kind of preventing any sort of movement. So I kind of just was playing with that a little bit as well to see if I could get it to move. And I wasn't being too hard with it, but when I moved it up, it kind of ripped up a little bit tiny tear of the leather. And it's pretty not noticeable. I mean, it covers it up. But it was kind of a bit of a bummer. Plus, it didn't even help the length at all. So I'm not exactly sure what I want to do about that, but I do want to kind of raise it up a little bit so that I can get a little bit more viewage of that right golden hand. So for the left hand, I noticed that the sleeve was kind of bunching up above the glove, and I wanted to fix that. So I thought, okay, I'll just pop the hand off and pull the little wrist guard off, pull the sleeve down, and put it back on. Well, I was having trouble getting the left hand off, and again, I wasn't putting a ton of pressure on, but finally I was able to pop it off, and lo and behold, I realized that the wrist joint broke off, half in the hand and the other half was still stuck in the wrist. So I was able to remove the half in the wrist and put a different ball joint in, but the other half was still stuck in the hand. So I just threw a different hand on. So if you're watching, you might notice that I he has a different hand halfway through the video. But I'll have to get some tweezers and a hair dryer and see if I can uh, soften it up and get that other piece out. So that was a little frustrating, but they did add like 4 extra wrist joints, so maybe they saw this coming. So it's not a huge deal as long as I can get that other little piece out. Just a little bit of a frustrating thing right off the bat. And the only other thing that I'd say was kind of a negative is that they didn't add a stand, but that's pretty common with these figures. Is there's usually not a stand, and it's a pretty low complaint because one of the actual positive things is he stands very well. Like I had no issues posing him, standing him, and I didn't get crazy dynamic, I guess, with the legs, but every time I stood him up, he was sturdier than ever. So I really love that. So obviously you saw me getting super excited for the head sculpt. It truly was absolutely top tier quality, and I'm very impressed. And I also love the outfit. I love the detail and design of the uniform that Jaime Lannister wears, and the likeness to the show is just incredible. Like 3-0, they did a wonderful job with this figure, and it really shows. So ultimately, for my final opinion, this is an absolute must have. I love this figure. If you're thinking about picking them up, go ahead and do it, especially if you're trying to build a Game of Thrones collection. I think they did an amazing job with the sculpt and the outfit, the design. Really, there's just so many positives to get it, and especially because it is on the lower end of the price for 1/6 scale figures. So just real quick, if there is a 1/6 scale creative enthusiast out there watching these videos, I would love for you to commission a Game of Thrones inspired table for my collection. What I want to do is have like a diorama setting of all of the different characters around the table. And I have those different wooden sculpts signifying the different houses that came with the deluxe version of Tyrion Lannister that I could set up on the table and then have, everybody in their respective spots. And I think that would look really cool. But when I was just checking on the market, I couldn't find any 1/6 scale tables or medieval wooden slabs that really just worked with these figures. So I would love if someone would be able to create one because I know I am definitely not crafty enough to do that. So thank you guys for joining in for another 1/6 scale unboxing. Again, I'm going to have more videos coming out in the future, so stay tuned for those. Like always, thank you for watching and stay safe. I'll see you on the next one.